The broadcast echoed through every star system in the galaxy. 1,000 alien voices filled the air, repeating the same words in different tongues. The human species has no military value. On the great screens of the Galactic Council Hall, a blue sphere, Earth, spun slowly beside the vast banners of mighty empires. Around it, holograms of alien admirals smirked, their voices dripping with arrogance. "They are fragile," one said. "They fight with metal and emotion," said another. A tall, scaled general leaned forward. "One strike fleet," he hissed, "can erase their entire planet in a day." Laughter followed. Deep, metallic, cold. The council agreed. Humanity was to be marked as a non-threat species, unworthy of diplomatic attention or defense treaties. Their small planet was listed among the unprotected sectors. And across the galaxy, the Empire watched and smiled. The colony. Far from the laughter of alien courts, a small mining colony orbited a dying red sun near the edge of Sol's reach. Its name was Helios 9, a place of dust, noise, and quiet survival. Children played between the refineries. Workers repaired old ships patched together with Earth's last-century technology. They had no idea their signal was already marked by the Empire's scouts. In the control tower, Commander Elias Rose stood by the window, his eyes on the stars. He was a man who had seen too many losses, an old soldier with scars on both skin and soul. He knew something the others didn't. When his communications officer called out, "We've picked up movement, unknown signatures, multiple," Elias didn't look surprised. He simply nodded. "How many?" The officer hesitated. 30 ships. Maybe more." Elias sighed. "Then they're not scouts. They're here." The arrival. The first light appeared like a sunrise from the void. Silver ships sliding from hyperspace, elegant and monstrous. Empire cruisers. Their hulls glowed with crimson lines, and their weapons hummed with quiet power. "Helios 9, this is Fleet Command of the Imperial Dominion." A voice boomed from the sky, smooth and cruel. "You are ordered to surrender. Evacuation will not be granted. Compliance ensures a quick end." Static followed. Then silence. On the ground, miners dropped their tools. Civilians froze, looking up as shadows covered the sun. Commander Elias turned to his officers. "How many defense drones still work?" 8, maybe 9, one said. "And the ground cannons?" 2 operational, but they'll melt after one shot." Elias nodded again. "No panic, just quiet understanding." "Then we fight," he said. The officers looked at him like he was mad, but he didn't care. "Tell the civvies to move underground. We hold the upper field as long as we can." The sky burns. Moments later, the heavens erupted. The Empire's ships opened fire. Plasma bolts brighter than lightning tore through the colony's defense grid. The first volley turned 3 drone platforms into dust. The second struck the main refinery. Flames bloomed across the horizon. Human fighters, small, fragile, old, rose into the air like sparks against a storm. Their pilots didn't expect to win. They expected to die fighting. And they did. Each explosion lit the dark sky like a heartbeat fading. Elias watched from the command deck as the feed from his pilots vanished one by one. The sound of dying voices filled the room. "This is Eagle 3. Engines gone. Tell my daughter." Static. "This is Falcon Leader. They're too fast." Static. Still, the ground cannons fired. The humans refused to go quietly. When the first alien cruiser came within range, both cannons unleashed blinding plasma bursts. One shot missed, the second hit. The alien ship shuddered, then exploded. For the first time, the Empire's fleet slowed. The commander's choice. "Sir, the civilians are in the shelters," said Lieutenant Dyer. His face was pale. "We can't hold much longer." Elias stared at the tactical screen. Half the colony was already gone. The sky was a curtain of fire. He thought of the council laughing. He thought of Earth, small and unaware. He whispered, almost to himself, "If they want to see weakness, let's show them how we break." He opened the comms to all channels. To every human on Helios 9, "This is Commander Rowe. You've seen what they think of us. They think we'll kneel. They think we'll beg. But we're human. We don't kneel. We fight until there's nothing left to fight with. And then we fight with our hands." A murmur spread through the shelters, through the mines, through the broken towers. Men and women picked up tools, rifles, anything sharp. Engineers armed drones. Even children carried supplies to defense lines. Helios 9 wasn't a fortress, but that day it became one. The fall. The Empire's fleet descended, methodical and merciless. Bombardment waves hit every defense sector. Towers crumbled. Still, resistance didn't stop. When aliens landed their dropships, expecting easy victory, they met ambushes, miners hiding in tunnels, firing from shadows, setting traps using explosive fuel lines. The air turned black with smoke and screams. Alien soldiers shouted for retreat when tunnels collapsed over them. They had never seen prey fight like this, never seen creatures who'd rather die standing than live on their knees. Elias led the last defense group at the North Ridge. His armor was cracked, his rifle burning hot. Around him, the few survivors stood shoulder to shoulder. "Sir, the line's gone," a soldier said. "I know," Elias replied. "Hold anyway." The last transmission from Helios 9 to Earth was short. "They're here. We're still fighting." Silence. By nightfall, the colony was ash. Empire ships hovered silently above, scanning for survivors. Their commander, a silver-scaled general, gave his report with a smirk. "Target neutralized. Human resistance minimal. They die easily." The Emperor's voice replied through the static, calm and cruel. "Good. Let this be a lesson to the others. The age of Earth is over." And so the Empire left, leaving only smoke and silence behind. The ember. But deep beneath the ruins, under collapsed metal and ash, a beacon pulsed faintly. A hand moved, a burned hand, gripping a broken comlink. Commander Elias Rowe was alive. He crawled through the wreckage, blood running down his face, until he reached the shattered console. He stared at the blinking light of the beacon, a distress signal looping endlessly. He pressed one button and whispered, his voice weak but fierce, "To whoever hears this, don't let them think we're gone. They called us weak. They called us fragile. They're wrong." He looked at the flames above, at the stars where the Empire's ships vanished, and smiled, small, defiant, human. They have no idea what they've just started. The Empire believed the war was over. After the destruction of Helios 9, their fleets spread through Sol's outer colonies like vultures, burning what was left of human civilization. The official broadcast from the Emperor himself echoed through every occupied world. The human species resisted extinction and earned it. Across 1,000 worlds, the message was clear: Earth was broken. Humanity was done. But deep in the shadows of space, the truth was different. The survivors. In the darkness between Mars and Jupiter, a small convoy drifted silently. These weren't warships, just mining freighters and medical shuttles, patched together with scrap and hope. Inside one of them, Dr. Lin Chen adjusted her cracked visor and watched the stars. Her lab had been on Helios 9 before the fall, but she escaped on the last civilian shuttle. Barely. Her hands still shook from the memory of fire and screams. Now she worked with what was left of humanity's scientists and soldiers. Their leader was a scared admiral named Mara Saeed, once commander of Earth's Navy before it was wiped out. Mara stood in the war room of their largest ship, the Horizon. The holo map showed hundreds of red markers, each a destroyed human colony. Silence filled the room. Then she said quietly, "They think we're dead." "Good. Let them believe it." Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned. The Empire's mistake. The Empire was vast, powerful, and proud. But it was also lazy. With humanity supposedly destroyed, the admirals pulled their fleets back to secure the inner territories. Only a few patrol ships remained to watch over the ruins of Sol. That arrogance would be their first mistake. Because in the wreckage of Helios 9, scavenger drones, built from human scrap, were gathering something precious: data. Commander Elias Rowe's distress beacon had transmitted for 6 days before it went silent. But in those 6 days, thousands of encrypted fragments spread across abandoned satellites, old mining bots, and damaged relay stations. They carried everything: enemy codes, frequencies, fleet routes. And humans were listening. From a hidden base carved into an asteroid called Cinder Rock, the surviving engineers began rebuilding communications. They couldn't attack yet, but they could learn. And humans learned fast. The hidden plan. Months passed. The Empire believed the system was quiet. Their cruisers occasionally scanned for life, found nothing, and moved on. But below the surface, human resistance grew. Dr. Lin Chen made a discovery while studying captured alien technology. She realized that human neural patterns adapted faster under extreme stress than any known species. She recorded a message for Admiral Mara. "They thought we were fragile because we bleed easily. They don't understand. Our minds evolve under pain. Every loss makes us stronger, faster, smarter." Mara listened to the recording in silence, then smiled. "Then let's make them regret every drop of blood they took." They began gathering survivors from across the solar system: miners, soldiers, engineers, hackers, even civilians. They had no government, no homeworld, but they had one shared goal: vengeance. The underground network called itself the Sol Rebellion, though the name was spoken quietly, like a prayer. Whispers in the void. It started small. An Empire patrol ship went missing near Saturn's rings. Then a supply freighter vanished between Proxima and Vega. At first, no one cared. Space was dangerous. Pirates existed. But soon, the disappearances became frequent. Entire convoys vanished without a trace. Empire intelligence dismissed the rumors as accidents, until fragments of wreckage began showing up. Burned ships, torn by kinetic strikes. Each hull carried the same symbol burned into the metal: a human handprint. A message was found inside one of the destroyed cruisers, written in English on the wall in charred metal: "We're still here." Panic spread quietly through the lower ranks. Commanders whispered about the ghosts of Sol. The first retaliation. In the asteroid base, Admiral Mara stood before her small fleet. They had just 20 ships, none built for war. But every one of them had been modified beyond recognition. Mining lasers turned into cutting beams. Cargo drones became guided missiles. Old engines were reforged to carry triple the normal thrust. Mara addressed her people through an old, flickering comm system. "The Empire thinks we're dust. They think we broke. But we are not dust. We are sparks, and sparks ignite stars." Their first target was a small Empire communications relay orbiting Kepler 92, used to transmit fleet data. Taking it down would be dangerous, but symbolic. The plan was simple: get close, disable defenses, destroy the station, and vanish. When the mission began, the Horizon and 2 smaller ships drifted toward the relay disguised as asteroid debris. The Empire garrison barely noticed until it was too late. The humans attacked like lightning. One moment the space was quiet, the next it erupted in fire. Lasers sliced through metal. Empire ships scrambled to respond, but their systems were jammed by human EMP bursts, primitive but devastating. Within minutes, the entire station was gone. The humans vanished into the void before reinforcements arrived. The Empire sent recovery teams and found a message carved into the remains of the station. For Helios 9. The Council reacts. News of the attack reached the Emperor within hours. His advisors dismissed it as piracy. Scavengers, one said. Survivors of a doomed species playing at war. But one general, Lord Vraxon, commander of the 7th Fleet, disagreed. No pirates use tactics like that. No pirates jam military frequency networks. This was coordinated, intelligent, human. The Emperor frowned, his scales shimmering under the golden lights. Even if they live, what can they do? Their fleet is gone. Their world is ash. Vraxon bowed. With respect, my Emperor, they don't need fleets. They only need time, and we are giving it to them. But his warning was ignored. Seeds of vengeance. In the coming months, more Empire outposts burned. A garrison on Elter was ambushed by drones disguised as mining bots. A fuel depot near Vega exploded mysteriously after a maintenance request. And once again at every site, the same mark appeared. A single human handprint burned into metal. By the time the Empire realized the threat was spreading, the Sol Rebellion had grown into something new, the Terran Vanguard. Hidden shipyards deep in asteroid belts were constructing vessels made from salvaged alien technology and human ingenuity. Their hulls were rough, ugly, mismatched, but deadly. Every survivor carried the same fire in their eyes. When one human fell, 10 more took their place. The message. Dr. Lin Chin sent out a private transmission through encrypted channels, one only humans could decode. It played across every surviving colony, every hidden ship. We are the children of Earth. We bleed, but we rise. Every colony they burn, every city they erase, becomes a lesson. We don't surrender. We adapt. We fight. We evolve. The message spread like wildfire. The galaxy had laughed at humans once. Now they began to whisper their name with fear. The galaxy still believed the humans were ghosts. But ghosts can hunt. The silent war begins. 3 years had passed since the fall of Helios 9. The Empire's fleets no longer patrolled Sol. They thought there was nothing left to patrol. But deep in the asteroid belt, the truth was very different. Dozens of hidden stations hummed with new life. Humans had built an entire network under the Empire's nose. Ships, weapons, factories, and command centers disguised as mining facilities. The Empire didn't notice because humanity had changed. They had stopped broadcasting open signals. They moved in silence. They hid their engines behind asteroid heat signatures. Every move was made with patience and calculation. Commander Elias Rowe, once presumed dead, was alive and leading the Vanguard Assault Division under Admiral Mara Saeed. His survival from Helios 9 had made him a living legend among the survivors. When he entered the command chamber aboard the Horizon, the soldiers stood in silence, eyes filled with respect. He looked older, harder. The same quiet fury still burned behind his calm expression. "Status?" he asked. Dr. Lin Chen appeared on the holo display. "We've completed integration of the alien drives. The new strike ships can jump 5 times faster than before, but only once before overheating." Elias nodded. "1 jump is enough." The target. Their first major target was Outpost 412, a vital Empire supply hub orbiting a barren moon near the Kepler rim. It held food, fuel, and weapons, everything the humans needed. But more than that, it held pride. The Empire considered it untouchable. Admiral Mara stood over the map of the outpost. Red dots represented enemy ships. Blue lights flickered, barely a dozen human vessels. She looked at Elias. "This isn't a raid. This is a statement." Elias replied simply, "Then let's make it loud." The plan. The humans couldn't match the Empire in strength, but they had something far deadlier: creativity. They used old mining asteroids as cover. Each was hollowed out, loaded with explosives, and fitted with primitive engines. They called them ghost rocks. The plan was simple: drift a field of ghost rocks into the Empire's shipping lane, detonate them at the perfect moment, and strike while confusion reigned. The operation's code name was Iron Whisper. Every ship in the human fleet carried a single line burned into its hull: "We are the hunted no more." The infiltration. Night in space is eternal. On the day of the attack, the stars above Vorn 12 glittered like nothing was wrong. Empire soldiers went through their daily routines, bored, relaxed, certain they were safe. Then, at 200 hours, scanners picked up an incoming asteroid cluster. "Just debris from the belt," an alien officer said, yawning. He didn't notice the faint heat signatures pulsing inside each rock. Moments later, the first explosion ripped through the sky. Dozens of asteroids detonated at once, releasing thousands of molten shards that tore through the outpost's shields. Before the alarms could even sound, human ships burst from hyperspace, dark, angular, and silent. Their weapons flashed like lightning. Empire turrets turned to fire, but the humans were already gone, vanishing behind the debris, striking again from new angles. Their movements were unpredictable, chaotic, human. The Battle of Vorn 12. Admiral Mara's voice cut through the chaos. "All units, scatter formation, engage and vanish. Don't fight them head-on." The Empire's commander, Lord Vraxon, roared orders to his fleet. "Surround them, crush them like insects." But insects didn't move like this. Human ships danced between explosions, using the wreckage as cover. When one ship was hit, two more took its place. Empire sensors couldn't track them. Their heat signatures disappeared mid-fight, a trick learned from studying alien tech. Within minutes, the outpost's outer defenses fell. Then Elias made his move. He piloted the Valkyrie, one of the new stealth-modified corvettes, straight into the heart of the outpost's docking ring. "Sir, shields at 20%, shouted his co-pilot. "Hold it steady," Elias said, eyes locked on the target. He fired the ship's railgun directly into the station's reactor core. The explosion was like a sun being born. The shockwave hit both fleets, knocking ships out of orbit. The humans retreated into the debris, engines dead silent, leaving behind nothing but fire and ruin. Aftermath. When Empire rescue teams arrived, they found the outpost gone, melted into the moon's surface. No human bodies, no survivors. Just a single black plate floating among the wreckage. It was engraved with English words: "For Mars, for Earth, for Helios 9. The message spread across the Empire like a virus. Rumors called it the Ghost Fleet of Sol. Others said the humans had returned from death itself. Defiance in the ice. One squad of soldiers, a mix of miners, scientists, and veterans, held a ridge for 7 straight days. Their food ran out. Their ammunition dwindled. But still, they fought. When Empire dropships surrounded them, they detonated the ridge's fuel reserves, taking themselves and the invaders with them. Empire reports later called it irrational behavior. But for humans, it was something else: resolve. Dr. Lin Chen watched the battle from the orbital station above Titan, her hands trembling as explosions lit the moon's surface. "Can we evacuate?" she asked. Admiral Mara shook her head. "No time, but we can make it count." She activated the failsafe, Titan's geothermal core reactors. The fire below. Deep beneath the moon's ice, ancient human reactors began to overload. The Empire's troops noticed too late. The ground split apart. Flames burst through frozen plains, engulfing biotitans and ships alike. The heat melted kilometers of ice in minutes, creating oceans of boiling chaos. Elias Rowe watched from the surface, bloodied and half-conscious. The sky burned orange. His comm crackled with Mara's voice. "The reactors are going critical. You need to get out. Now." He looked at the horizon, where alien ships tried to flee into orbit. "No," he said softly. "We stay." His last recorded message before Titan vanished was simple. "If they want our blood, give it to them. If they want our world, let it burn with theirs." The explosion that followed could be seen from Saturn. The moon cracked apart, half of it vaporized, the rest drifting into glowing debris. Aftermath. Fear spreads. The Empire declared victory. Titan has been cleansed. But their victory broadcast didn't last long. A week later, one of their capital ships, the Pride of Vorn, received a transmission. It was a video feed showing the burning ruins of Titan. In the middle stood a human flag, half melted, still standing upright. A voice spoke from the static. "You can kill us, but you can't stop what's coming." Then the ship's engines detonated. After that, the Empire stopped celebrating. The cost of war. The loss of Titan hit humanity hard. Thousands dead, countless missing. But to the survivors, it wasn't a defeat. It was a promise. Admiral Mara stood before her crew aboard the Horizon, her face cold as steel. "We lost a moon," she said. "They lost a fleet. We'll rebuild, again and again, until nothing of theirs remains." Her engineers nodded, silent, determined. Dr. Lin Chen stepped forward. Elias's data survived. He transmitted weapon logs before the explosion. "What did he send?" Mara asked. Lin's eyes were sharp. "Proof that the Bio-Titans can be controlled by us, turning their weapons against them." Months later, in a dark hangar buried inside an asteroid base, Lin's team stood around a restrained Bio-Titan. It was monstrous, part armor, part flesh, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Chains rattled as it breathed. "Do you think this will work?" asked one engineer nervously. Lin didn't answer. She connected a neural interface to its skull and activated the human override code, taken from captured Empire tech. The creature roared, shaking the walls, then suddenly went still. Lin exhaled. "It's listening." Admiral Mara watched the feed in silence. "Then let's teach their monsters who their new masters are." Within months, human-controlled Bio-Titans fought alongside soldiers in deep space raids. The Empire was horrified. Their greatest weapons had turned against them. The propaganda war. Empire leaders tried to hide the truth. They censored broadcasts, erased records, executed officers who spread human fear. But rumors travel faster than light. Stories of humans who could tame death itself spread across colonies. Rebellion movements began in other species enslaved by the Empire. The humans had become a symbol, the fire that couldn't be put out. One alien broadcast dared to speak it aloud. "The humans are not fighting to win. They are fighting to make sure the galaxy never forgets them." A message to the stars. Admiral Mara recorded a transmission meant for every species watching the war. Her voice was calm, her uniform dark and scarred by battle. "We didn't ask for this war. You called us weak. You called us fragile. But look around. Your fleets burn. Your worlds tremble. Your beasts kneel before us. This isn't human rage. This is human will. And will doesn't die." The transmission spread like wildfire. Even those who hated humanity began to respect them. The Empire's breaking point. Inside the throne chamber, the Emperor crushed the edge of his golden chair in fury. "They destroy our fleets, steal our weapons, and corrupt our slaves. Why do they not stop?" No one answered. Even Lord Draxon, once proud, spoke softly. "Because they don't know how to stop, my Emperor. Pain only makes them faster." The Emperor's eyes glowed. "Then I will burn their world to ashes." And with that, he issued the command that would change the galaxy forever. "Prepare the purge fleets. Target Earth." The order had been given. The Empire was coming for Earth. Across the stars, their purge fleets gathered. Thousands of ships, planet killers, dreadnoughts, and carriers big enough to block the sun. The Emperor's command echoed through every channel. Erase their cradle. Let no stone or child remain. For the first time in human history, the sky above Earth filled not with stars, but with shadows. The last dawn. On the plains of Africa, children watched strange lights move across the night. In New London, alarms screamed from every tower. In orbit, the old Terran defense grid flickered to life. Ancient satellites, half-functional, preparing for a fight they were never built to win. Admiral Mara Said stood on the bridge of the horizon, now orbiting high above the planet. She looked down at the blue sphere beneath her. Home. Dr. Lin Chen joined her, eyes red from sleepless nights. If they destroy Earth, she said quietly, humanity dies. Mara didn't look away. Then let's make sure they choke on the ashes. The invasion begins. The first wave hit before dawn. Thousands of plasma bolts tore through the upper atmosphere, turning the skies into rivers of fire. The defense satellites returned fire, but their beams barely scratched the enemy shields. Cities vanished within minutes. Beijing, New York, Lagos, Moscow, entire continents glowing red. Earth trembled under the weight of orbital bombardment. Yet amid the chaos, the humans fought back. Old submarines launched missiles from burning oceans. Mountain bunkers fired railguns into the sky. Civilian ships loaded with explosives rammed the enemy lines. Every act of resistance cost blood, but every explosion cost the Empire lives. In one broadcast, a pilot screamed through static, "For Titan, for Mars, for Earth." Then the signal cut to silence. The battle for orbit. Admiral Mara's fleet stood alone between the Empire and the planet. The horizon's shields flared as enemy fire struck again and again. "Rear flank gone," shouted an officer. "Forward batteries at 30%. Mara gripped the command rail, eyes steady. "We hold the line. No retreat." Commander Elias Rowe's voice came through the comms from his ship, the Valkyrie. "They outnumber us 50-1. Then we make each one count," Mara replied. The Valkyrie dived through enemy formations, dropping mines and kinetic charges. Human ships exploded around it like stars dying, but they took enemy vessels down with them. For every human lost, 2 alien cruisers burned. The Empire's generals couldn't understand it. They had seen conquered worlds surrender after one attack. But humans fought even when everything was gone. Fire on the ground. On Earth's surface, the war became hell. The Bio-Titans returned, thousands unleashed into the ruins of cities. But this time, humans fought them differently. Using captured control codes, Dr. Lin Chen's team turned many of the creatures against their masters. The monsters roared and tore through Empire troops, defending the humans who had once feared them. Still, the destruction was unstoppable. Oceans boiled. The sky turned black with ash. The continents cracked. From orbit, Earth no longer looked blue. It was gray and red, like a wound in the void. The final broadcast. As the last human fleets burned in orbit, Admiral Mara activated the planet-wide communication system. Her face appeared on every surviving screen, from the bunkers under Antarctica to the refugee stations hidden on Mars. "People of Earth, this is Admiral Mara Said. We have fought and we have bled, but we are not gone. If you hear this, know that humanity lives wherever a heartbeat defies fear." Behind her, the horizon shook from impact. The lights flickered, smoke filling the bridge. Still, she kept speaking. "They call this the end of Earth. But remember this. Every empire that burns us only feeds the fire we become." Then the transmission cut as the horizon was struck by a super dreadnought's beam. The ship broke apart in silence. But her words continued to echo across the stars. The Emperor's victory. When it was done, the Emperor stood on his throne world, watching the live feed of Earth burning. He smiled as continents collapsed and oceans turned to steam. So ends the species that dared to defy us. The galaxy cheered, at least those still loyal to the Dominion. But even as the applause filled the airwaves, strange signals began to appear. Encrypted transmissions, human in origin, broadcast from the ruins. Distress beacons, coded coordinates, fragmented voices whispering from the dark. The Emperor frowned. Impossible. They're all dead, survivors among the stars. Far beyond Earth's orbit, in the Oort cloud, dozens of ships escaped the destruction. They were damaged, scorched, carrying civilians, soldiers, and engineers, fragments of a dying species. One of them was the Horizon's sister ship, the Erebus, commanded by Dr. Lin Chen herself. Her crew was silent as they watched Earth's burning reflection in the viewport. Tears fell freely, no one bothering to hide them. "Everything's gone," whispered one pilot. Lin shook her head. "Not everything. We still have memory. We still have will." From her console, she sent out a simple coded message to every surviving human ship. "We are not finished. Gather in the outer dark. The fire of Earth burns in us." The message spread, weak, broken, but enough. Across the shattered edges of the solar system, surviving ships changed course. The last humans were coming together again. The Emperor's mistake. The Emperor believed the war was over. He recalled his fleets, leaving occupation garrisons behind to monitor the ruins. But he didn't understand humans. He didn't understand that the destruction of Earth wasn't an ending. It was a transformation. The humans who fled carried fragments of ancient code, alien technology, and rage so deep it could burn worlds. They began building something new, faster, harder, colder. The refugees of Earth were no longer fighting for home. They were fighting for vengeance. Elias's return. In the black void near Neptune, a distress signal blinked faintly. The Valkyrie, Commander Elias Rowe's ship, had survived the fall. Damaged, half dead, drifting among debris. Elias woke up to alarms and smoke. His crew was gone. His ship was barely holding atmosphere. He looked out the viewport at the distant glow of Earth's ashes. "Still here," he whispered, voice shaking. "Still fighting." He managed to restore power long enough to send one last transmission. "This is Commander Rowe. Earth has fallen. But I am not dead. If any human hears this, remember what they did. Remember what we are." Then the signal vanished into the dark. That message became legend. The silence after. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy was quiet. No human transmissions. No battles. Only silence. Alien races celebrated. Merchants reopened their routes. But deep down, everyone felt uneasy, because silence from humans was never a good sign. They had seen what happened when humans were angry. But no one knew what would happen when they were broken. And somewhere, in the far cold regions of space, small ships began to disappear. Empire patrols, communication relays, scout drones, all vanishing without a trace. The reports were dismissed as sensor errors. But the last message received from one of those missing ships was a whisper through static. "They're here, and they're not the same." For years, the galaxy thought the humans were gone. The stars above Earth were silent. The Sol system was marked on every chart as exterminated zone. No signals, no fleets, nothing alive. But silence is not the same as death. Deep in the void beyond Neptune, beyond the Oort cloud, beyond every map the Empire had ever made, humanity endured. The hidden exodus. The survivors of Earth drifted for years in the dark, cold space between stars. Their ships were damaged, engines weak, food scarce, but they kept moving. They built shelters inside hollow asteroids, powered them with stolen Empire reactors, and grew food under artificial suns. Children were born in darkness, never seeing real starlight. Dr. Lin Chen led them now, not as a scientist, but as a leader. She stood in the command dome of the Erebus, surrounded by flickering screens and weary faces. "We lost our world," she said softly, "but not our name, not our fire. Earth was never just a planet. It was a promise." From across the hidden colonies, that line spread like a prayer. Earth was a promise. The rebirth of the fleet. Years passed. The refugees stopped calling themselves refugees. They became something else. The Forgotten Fleet. They rebuilt from wreckage, turning Empire debris into warships. They used broken asteroids as shipyards. They studied alien tech and fused it with human ingenuity. Human scientists learned how to grow armor from living alloys. Engineers turned captured weapons into something far worse. Their ships became dark, silent things, smooth, black, and invisible to scanners. Each one carried the same mark on its hull, a blue sphere surrounded by flame. And in the heart of the flagship Erebus, Lin Chen looked upon her creation. Project Revenant. Project Revenant. Project Revenant was more than a ship. It was a myth made metal. It was built from a captured Empire dreadnought and powered by something new, a human-made singularity core. Its drive could fold space without leaving a trace. Its weapons could ignite stars. Its crew, human and machine merged, were trained for one vertiginous things. When Lin Chen stood before the gathered survivors, her voice carried through every ship. "They burned our skies. They erased our home. They think the word human means weak. Let's remind them what it really means." The Forgotten Fleet roared in response. The first return. The Empire had grown complacent again. Years of peace had dulled their edge. Then one night, at the edge of the Vraxan expanse, an outpost went dark. At first, it seemed like a systems failure. Then 2 fleets sent to investigate also vanished. No debris, no distress calls, nothing. Empire analysts studied the last transmission, a single burst of static. Buried in the noise were faint words in ancient English. For Earth, fear spread quietly through the ranks. Lord Vraxan himself, now older and scared, summoned his intelligence officers. "Ghost fleets," he muttered. "It can't be. They were erased." One officer looked pale. "Then who's erasing us now, my lord?" Beams of white light rained down, precise, controlled, surgical. Only military targets burned. Civilian areas were left untouched. The Empire's ships scrambled to respond, but their weapons wouldn't lock on. The attackers moved like phantoms, faster than scanners could track. And then, a voice filled every channel. "This is the Revenant Fleet. You called us extinct. You were wrong." The galaxy froze. The message that shook the stars. Dr. Lin Chen's face appeared on every intercepted transmission. Her eyes were tired but fierce, her voice steady. "You burned our world and called it peace. You erased our people and called it justice. We are the Forgotten Fleet, the survivors of Earth. And we are not here for peace. We are here for balance." The transmission spread faster than any weapon. Every enslaved world, every suppressed colony, every race that once bowed to the Empire, heard her words, and they began to rise. The Empire's panic. In the Emperor's throne hall, chaos erupted. Advisors shouted, generals begged for orders. Deploy every fleet, seal the borders, destroy them. But it was already too late. Reports came from all corners. Outposts destroyed, convoys intercepted, shipyards burned. The humans didn't attack with brute force. They attacked with precision. Every strike crippled the Empire's economy, their power, their pride. They weren't fighting a war. They were dismantling a civilization. Lord Vraxen stared at the battle reports and whispered, almost with awe, "They learn. They always learn." The return of Elias Rowe. Among the fleet, another legend stirred. Commander Elias Rowe, missing since the fall of Earth, had been found. Rescued from cryostasis aboard the wreck of the Valkyrie, he awoke decades later. When Lin Chin entered his recovery chamber, he opened his eyes slowly. "Still fighting?" he asked weakly. Lin smiled faintly. "Always." Elias stood before the window of the Revenant, watching stars pass like ghosts. "You built an army out of ashes," he said. She nodded. "And now we burn the ones who made them." Elias joined the fleet as commander of operations, his name a symbol of unbroken defiance. The Day of Reckoning. The first major battle between the Revenant fleet and the Empire took place near Draxon's Rift, a system filled with unstable suns. The Empire sent 6 fleets. They never made it home. Human ships emerged from nowhere, using gravity wells as cover. Their weapons ignited the suns, turning the system into a storm of plasma and light. When the battle was over, an entire arm of the Empire's navy was gone. The humans disappeared before reinforcements arrived. In the wreckage, a single probe floated with a message carved into it. "You destroyed our home. We just returned the favor." The legend reborn. In the following months, sightings of the Revenant fleet spread across the galaxy. Some called them Avengers, others demons. But everyone agreed on one thing: the humans were back. Alien historians began rewriting records. The word extinct was erased from humanity's entry. In its place, status: active. Location: unknown. Threat level: maximum. Children in alien schools whispered the same line in fear. "Don't look into the dark. The humans live there." The Empire trembles. In the throne room, the Emperor stood before the map of his galaxy. Half his sectors were burning. Slave worlds had rebelled. Fleets were vanishing faster than he could replace them. He slammed his claws into the table. His golden armor cracked. "Find them," he roared. "Find their base, their world, their cursed fleet." But no one could, because the humans no longer had a world. They had become something else.